All right, people, it's Friday. We are live with the MMA Mainstream Podcast. I'm James, of course, joined by my co-host Kaelyn. Kaelyn, how you doing?
It's good. It's Friday.
Right? All right, time to talk about some
Finally.
MMA.
My God.
And we are joined by Laz Maldonado, who's going to be competing on September 24th at Valley Strong Park for 559 fights. How's it going, man?
Not too bad, not too bad. Just been chilling, training. That's about it.
Now, how's training going?
It's going pretty good. It's hard. Just training pretty hard for this fight. It's my last amateur fight, so I'm trying to just go out in a good way to go to like pro, I guess, like finish in style or something like that. So, yeah.
All right, because you are the current flyweight champion. Is that correct for 559
Yeah.
fights? And so you're just trying to take that belt with you? Just, man, forget you guys. This is my last amateur fight. I'm taking the belt with me.
Yeah, basically.
Right on, man. So when it comes to your training and your prep for the fight, I mean, how many weeks out did you start prepping? Do you prep for it like a professional fighter would, like 6 to 8 weeks? Or has it been shorter? What's the experience been like for you?
So usually, like all the other times, I kind of just recently moved here to Texas. So like all my other fights, like the last 2 fights, I really haven't found like a gym here out in Texas to like start training like just all the time. So I would just fly my coach out like probably like a month and a half, and then we'll get back to like grinding, trying to get back in shape. But this time, I actually found a little spot down the road from where we live, and I kind of I've been training there for a while, so it wasn't like I didn't like start a camp. Like I kind of just been doing it, and then I got the fight, and then so yeah, like I kind of I've been doing it for a while now. Like hasn't really been like a certain date to where I started or whatever the camp, I guess.
What's the name of your camp, man? Shout them out. Give them some love, even though they're in Texas and we're over here in Fresno.
It's actually called Atomic Jiu-Jitsu. So, but they have like a little bit. It's like mainly jiu-jitsu, but they have Muay Thai and all that other stuff too. So it's pretty cool.
Right on. So you're. Let me see. I had all this stuff memorized, and then I forget when the show starts. Here we go. You're 5-1 with no draws and 1 no contest. Like, how did you start off? How did you get into MMA?
I think just watching it, like when I was younger, I would just watch it like with the family. Like we would have like little barbecues and stuff like that. And then I think when I turned 18, I was pretty close with Jeremy, his son Jace, and we wrestled together and stuff like that. And then I was like, hey, you think your dad could hook me up with a fight or something like that? I didn't think it was gonna happen, and he was like, yeah, we can make it happen. And it kind of just like I was still in high school when it happened. Like literally my first fight was like, it was my senior year, so it was pretty cool. But
now, who did you train with for that fight?
That fight, I actually didn't even do like no type of striking, no nothing. It was still like a postseason or whatever. So like we were like going into state and like masters and all that. So like I was really just doing wrestling, and then I kind of just fought just cause like, oh, I think I could fight. So that's really just what got me into it.
Dude, that's nuts. Now, I mean, you talk about, growing up wrestling. So I imagine you don't have any real trouble cutting weight because you're just used to it.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm not even that like. I walk around probably 130, so I'm barely cutting like 120, like 5 pounds to 125.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I need to gain some weight actually, but.
Well, you're doing a lot better than Aspen Ladd because she didn't make weight for her fight.
Oh.
So you're doing good, man.
Again.
Stick with
it. So you said you're planning on going pro after this fight?
Yeah, that's the plan. Yeah.
Do you have any idea where you would or who you would compete for? I don't know. Out there, I'm not sure what's out there, of course, but any idea where you want to go?
I think Jeremy was talking about maybe getting me into Fury FC or Fury Fights. maybe try to get there. But I haven't really thought about like anything other than that because I know they have a couple of venues like close by too. I'm in Austin right now, but I think they have one in Dallas or Houston or something like that close by, so it wouldn't be too far if my fights were there. So
Right on,
Now,
man.
do you have a lot of training partners out there?
yeah, there's actually a good amount of people at that new gym that I just found. But yeah, it's a lot of good people. So it's cool.
What's your training schedule like?
Um, basically like kind of just every day. Like I'll do like two practices a day. So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday will be like Muay Thai, and then Tuesday, Thursday will be like Jiu-Jitsu, and then usually like Tuesday and Thursday is like they'll start a little practice earlier. So after that, I'll go to like the gym and like hit strength and conditioning, and then on weekends I just do cardio. So.
Have you ever competed in anything else, say Muay Thai, boxing, any jiu-jitsu tournaments?
No, just wrestling, but I kind of want to actually get into that, like nogi, like little nogi tournaments. I think that's actually pretty dope. I just started doing jiu-jitsu, and I actually really like it. It's pretty fun. So, yeah.
So far in your MMA fights, or training in MMA and so on, what has been the favorite aspect? Do you still enjoy the wrestling portion of it? Have you enjoyed? I mean, you talk about enjoying jiu-jitsu, but do you enjoy other aspects of doing MMA when you're in an MMA competition or training?
I think just the striking part. I feel like I could always go back to wrestling, but I feel like when it's like in the cage, I feel like people don't want to see people wrestling. They want to see someone get knocked out or something like that. So I kind of just try to keep it up on the feet, even though like I know my best thing is wrestling. But yeah, I kind of just want to put on a show and just yeah do that. So
I don't know, man. You ever seen Quentin Jackson slam somebody?
oh
Eddie
yeah,
Randleman?
I do got a couple suplexes
There
I
you
hit.
go.
So yeah.
How long have you had your belt for?
Um, I would probably say I think like 6 months, six months or something like that. So
Um,
So how long
you
have you
ever
been
fought
at? Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna ask, have you ever fought for any other organization besides 559?
I haven't. No. Yeah, I kind of just stick with 509 fights. That's the
Okay.
closest thing. So
Yeah.
Now, my question for you is how, you've been in Texas for how long now?
um, about like a year and a half, but it's kind of just going back and forth. Like whenever I have my fight, I go like. For my last fights, I would fly back to Fresno for like 2 months, and then come back here for 2 months, work, then go back for 2 months. But I just recently like moved probably like 4 months ago, so I've been here like consistently. But,
Since you've been there for so long, have you had a chance to really see the MMA scene that's going on out there? And if so, how is it?
um, not really. Yeah, not really. I haven't went to like no other like little promotions or anything like that. But actually, that would probably be pretty tight like to do. So I
Oh,
probably should.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, would you ever fly back here, California or anywhere else to take any more fights after this one?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that would be like dope to do. I think, yeah, say if like my first Fury fight was over there, 'cause I think they just barely started doing them in Visalia. Like,
Yeah.
where I would for sure be down to like do my first fight like where I was born.
Those are good shows. Those are fun fights to watch. I love
Yeah,
those.
that'd be tight.
Those are fun. They have a whole, everything's all set up. I don't know. Do they play them? Do they play them on Fight Pass?
Yeah, I seen
Believe
a
so.
couple like of their setups. They look like legit. They have a
It's
whole
legit because I've
yeah.
been there to one of them and everything's pretty fun. It's legit. You have like a whole commentary. I think it's Gilbert Melendez that does it. I think it's Fury. Could be wrong. No, I'm wrong. I think he does LFA. But and I think I'm thinking of LFA. But they're also good too. LFA is good too to get into.
Now, what is your goal? You're going to stay in MMA because this is your last amateur fight. Do you want to make it to the UFC? Do you want to progress to go to, you talk about Fury, but then there's also Bellator, PFL, and then get to UFC? What's your goal, your eventual end goal?
Yeah, I think it would be dope to make it to the UFC. Um, I think my goal would probably just try to be the best in the world, like at my weight. I think that would be pretty tight. So I think UFC would probably have like the best fighters in the world, so the best competitors or whatever. So yeah,
Have you ever watched the Dana White Contender Series?
yeah, I saw that. I saw like Bo Nickel. He just started that and stuff like that. So that was
Those
pretty
guys
cool.
are actually turned out to be really good for the UFC. But would you ever be interested in doing something like that, going that route? Possibly.
Yeah, I was actually looking at that. I was like, yeah, that's how that seemed pretty cool. So that would be tight.
So when you had your first fight, was it rough training for that and being a senior in high school?
Oh man.
No, it was pretty. It was like the same thing as wrestling because like I didn't really add nothing extra. Like I was just already doing so many workouts for wrestling. So after practice, I'll probably do like 30 minutes of maybe like pad work with like one of my coaches that just wanted to like help out or whatever. And yeah, so it wasn't really like I didn't add nothing crazy like to the schedule or anything like that. So
Now, out of all of your fights, which one has been your favorite?
probably. I think probably the one I lost, like with Javi. I think that like, humbled me a little bit or taught me that I need, there's always gonna be like someone a little better than you or training a little harder. So I think that one was a pretty cool one. And then just the energy too. Like he had his little side of people and then I had my side of people that were just like hyping everything up. So that was a pretty cool one. Yeah.
Do you have any fighters that you look up to that are kind of in the spotlight nowadays?
Brandon Moreno, he's pretty cool, but I don't think he's in like or Cody Garbrandt, he's pretty cool. I don't think he's in the spotlight nowadays, but I always looked up to him, like, all his tattoos and stuff. I always liked his like little style. So
You're on your way there.
yeah,
Getting there.
Yeah.
yeah. But I think that's about it, really.
All right. Now, if Javier Torres goes pro, which I don't know if he's still an amateur, so he could have went pro, but would you want to fight him again for a third fight, but this time as a pro?
Yeah, I think that would be pretty dope. Maybe like say we both keep winning or something like that, and then end up fighting for like the Fury FC belt or something like that.
That'd be a really dope trilogy. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You two fought in amateurs and then fighting as pros like that. I think that'd be a great story.
Yeah, that'd be tight. Or even like the Adesanya and who's the guy that beat him in the kickboxing?
Korea.
Yeah, how they kind of have that little story going too. I was like, I could see that happening between.
I think that fight is going to happen. I think they're trying.
Yeah, no, yeah, that would be crazy. That's gonna be a crazy one.
Cool.
All right, let's see. Then you're gonna go pro. You're training in Texas. What made you move to Texas, man?
Yeah. My parents actually moved over here for like just work. They started getting into real estate and stuff.
It's really big there, from what I've heard.
It's a good time.
Yeah.
You hang out with Joe Rogan yet?
No, not yet. But yeah, I just kind of follow them, and then I just want to see if I liked it a little better than California, and I actually do. It's way more like space, way more open. Everyone's heckin' nice here, so
everything's better over there. I bet.
A little bit, yeah.
I've been hearing that from a lot of people.
Yeah, well, everyone's leaving California to go there too.
The barbecue's fire and everything. So.
Man,
I bet. Yeah, I'm super envious now. I'll be over shortly.
Now, do you know anything about your opponent? Anything in particular for your upcoming fight?
I know that he kind of wrestled like in high school too. I mean, that's really all I know. I don't really try to like look up like my opponents or anything like that. Like I don't try to like I'll watch their fights or anything like stuff like that, but I don't try to like dig through their Instagram or anything like that or like find
You
what
don't
they're
stalk
doing.
them?
Nah. But
Leave them
yeah.
random messages. I'm coming for you.
Make fake accounts.
Maybe for that next hobby fight, I'll do something like that.
Hell yeah. Now, after this, you're gonna go pro, and like you train. Do you do anything else? Like, what do you do in a normal day?
I actually have a trash removal company. So like for my parents that do like real estate, like they'll flip houses and then like I just go behind them, like picking up all the trash and I'll take it to dump and stuff like that. And then I also have like a little painting company, like painting, drywall, and
Oh wow.
texturing. Yeah.
You have probably seen some of the craziest stuff at these houses then.
Yeah.
Please tell us more, because I watch a lot of house flipping shows and stuff like that. Please, I want to hear some crazy stories.
I actually I've been doing the painting a little longer, but I actually just started the trash removal probably like a couple months ago, like 2 or 3 months ago. So I haven't really seen nothing too crazy, but there was this one where like there's like I think there's like some like just crackheads living there or whatever, or bums or anything like that. So it's just like everything in there was just like destroyed. There's like just pipes everywhere, like needles.
Cool meth.
Yeah. So I had to be careful there, but that was probably the craziest one. But
now, all right, my last question involving that job: have you ever found anything that you're like, you know what, this is worth money, I'm going to keep this?
There actually was this one where the guy, he left everything. Like he I don't think he took anything, but I didn't really find nothing that like was like worth money. But he had like heck of books. Like he had like a series of 100 books, like 1 to 100, just stacked on like a wall. I don't know what the books were. I didn't really like pay attention, but yeah, those were kind of crazy. But I just threw them away. So yeah.
All right. Now, that's probably going to do it for us. Is there anybody you'd like to shout out before we let you go?
Probably just one of my coaches from Red Wave, Ricky Martinez, for flying back and forth and just making the time to help me out. And then my new little club, Atomic Jiu-Jitsu, for preparing me for this fight and going hard on me and stuff like that. So yeah, that's about it.
If people want to reach out to you, how can they find you on social?
On Instagram, it's just my name, Lazarus.Maldonado. And that's basically really all I have. I don't have no Facebook, anything like that. So that's really all I got. But
all right, man. All right. I guess this will be my last question. What's your schedule like coming back to California? Are you coming back like this weekend because the fight's a week away, so you get acclimated to being here again, or what are you gonna? How's that gonna work?
Yeah, I'm thinking about flying either Sunday or Monday, because I know it's like a little 2-hour difference, like time thing. So yeah, probably just get used to that. But yeah, I think just fly back this weekend and probably just do like little light training, just keeping the blood flowing and stuff like that. But that's about it.
All right, man. Well, we appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. Can't wait to see that fight. Look forward to it. Laz, have a good one, and we'll talk to you, hopefully after your last amateur fight.
Yep. Thank you guys for interviewing me. See ya.
Thanks a lot, man. Have a good one.
You guys too.
All right, that was cool. That's 559 Fights. That's where he's going to be competing at against. Why am I blanking right now? Because I just had it against George Burgos. Their first fight was a no contest. This will be their second fight. There will for sure be a winner this time. If not, I will be super sad faced, especially because that's Laz's last fight as an amateur. And hopefully, maybe he'll retain, because he is the current flyweight champ, who only has to cut like 5 pounds because he's basically a toothpick. He's just really skinny. Yeah, definitely look forward to that. And that is going to be at Valley Strong Park. Let me bring up the website for you guys. Got to share it with you. Boom, right there. 559 Fights 90 live September 24th at Visalia Strong Ballpark. For those of you who don't know where it is, it's in Visalia, California, because we are a podcast that is in Central California. So we have a lot of stuff regionally. Yes. And if you've never been to a 559 fights, go check it out. They put on one hell of a fight card. Those fighters, they are grooming to be pros. So the fight card's going to start off kind of weird because you're going to see a lot of guys that are younger that are looking to make their way in MMA. But then as the fight card progresses, it gets better and better and better with pro level fighters by the end of the fight that you're just like, wow, that guy was phenomenal talent. I can't wait to see what he does next. Now, moving on to national MMA information that we will discuss because that's what we do. UFC 279. You watched it. I saw all the highlights because I'm poor and couldn't watch it live. But it was insane. And props to Nate Diaz. Love that. He got the win, but he also took the fight like all these guys took the fights like short notice because
well, yeah.
I can't even pronounce it. I always blank on the names, and that's bad because I was saying it like earlier this week. Hazmat. Am I pronouncing? No, you don't. You do pronounce the K.
Hamzat. Okay.
Hamzat, didn't make weight. He was off weight by 7 pounds.
A lot.
Yeah, a lot.
Of pounds.
And I mean, as many MMA fights as I've seen, that is super unprofessional. I mean, I know some fighters have a really tough time making weight.
You know what's weird though?
I feel like it was a chicken shit move on his part. It's like, dude, if you don't want to fight him, you shouldn't have signed up to fight him. That's what I genuinely think. I
don't know. That whole thing's a little weird.
Yeah.
Because everyone was saying how on track everyone was. Everyone was on, I don't know if it was word for word that they said everyone was on weight, but they said, Dana White said that he had a great week. And I took that as he was been on weight and that it wasn't going to be an issue. But, thinking about it, I don't know. Maybe he wasn't okay. And of course, no one's going to say anything, at least to Dana White, that, hey, I'm way overweight and might not make it. You're going to do everything you can to the last minute to, get done what needs to get done. I don't know that situation. It's a bit weird. I don't like it.
I don't either.
It really scrambled the fight card, which not a bad fight card though, the way it was. It really wasn't.
The fight card was still quality. Don't get it twisted, but you literally had 3 of the main card shake up.
And also
that sounded more pro wrestling than pro wrestling.
Yeah,
and I love pro wrestling and I don't like this.
Yeah, I mean, at least the main event stayed what it was supposed to, and they ended up, because Tony Ferguson and Nate Diaz is a good fight no matter what. So I would have been happy if that was the original schedule. It would have been fine. Well,
I agree. That was actually to me a step up in the way of a main event.
Yeah, I guess. Sure, yeah, it was. Yeah, I feel like they should have done that since the beginning. It would have been fine.
Yeah, but they had a lot of drama. They had a fight go on backstage.
Oh, yeah.
So they even they also
canceled the weigh-in ceremony.
Yeah. So it's like, wow. Can you imagine being a person that showed up for that just to go enjoy it and have fun?
Oh, man. I think a lot of people did. Like, they tried to beef this thing up as much as possible.
Well, and they're doing a good job.
Yeah, especially between Nate and Kamzat. I mean, I'm not surprised that they got into a scuffle or what. I don't even know what happened, and no one said exactly what happened.
They're pretty mum on it. That's what they're doing, a pretty damn good job of keeping that quiet.
But also, no one got it on video or shared anything. I would just wonder how that situation happened, what happened, and when. And
I bet there is video, but they're like, don't put it out there or you're deep shit. I would have probably ended up being like, oh, that's crazy.
That would have been fun to watch. I think it would have promoted the fight even more if someone had leaked whatever video it was. unless they were in an area where no one had. I mean, everyone has cell phones, you know. So I don't know. I don't know why no one got that.
Yeah.
Or if they did, everyone was told not to share it or something.
Probably. I feel like Dana White does have the authority to be like, if you do that, we'll let you go or you'll be in some type of shit.
But maybe that happened because of the weight switch around. Maybe Nate was pissed. I don't know. I don't think Nate was pissed. Nate didn't even want to. I don't think Nate even really wanted to fight.
He's all, man, Stockton, okay? Fuck.
I don't even think he, like, listening to all his interviews leading up to this fight, he does not care anymore. Like, that's super not okay. Care.
That's fine.
Yeah, he's always been that way, though.
I feel like that's especially the most dangerous Nate Diaz, because it was his last fight on his contract. He has nothing to lose.
Yeah.
And he came out and he got the submission win. He got that guillotine choke in. Yeah.
And he was saying, you know, this whole time it wasn't about. He was mad at this fight because he was saying it wasn't about him. It was more about making Khamzat.
That's exactly what it was.
And it was because Khamzat's not a random choice, but I guess it kind of is. It's kind of
he's okay because of what's going on. You have Nate Diaz at the end of his contract. That would have benefited them if he lost, because then if he does resign, you can resign him at a lesser price because of his most recent loss and overall record. At least this is my thinking. I could be very wrong. I've never done an MMA contract, but I've been around enough people to feel like I realize that this is what they would look at. But if he wins for his next contract, more money, especially against, well, this is Tony Ferguson, but against Khamzat, Hazmat.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been like, okay, well, you beat him, but that's also who they're trying to guarantee is the next top star. And so,
yeah, but I mean, you also have one already that, you know, let him go out on his shield, let him fight whoever he wants.
And that's what it ended up being for Nate Diaz.
Yeah, they should have let him pick, you know, for his last fight. And yeah, anyway. But yeah, good fight.
It was a good fight from what I understand. I did see the finish that he got that guillotine choke in.
Yeah, Tony Ferguson was a mess.
Was he? I don't know.
Not as bad as, like, you know, some of the other past ones, most recent ones, but it was a good fight for Nate for sure. I like to see Nate win like that.
Was Ferguson even on the card prior to that?
Ferguson?
Yeah.
He was the co-main.
Okay. Who was he supposed to fight originally?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I feel like I don't recall now because there was so much hoopla behind the change, but I know that a lot of fights got switched.
That's a good question. I don't remember.
Yeah, and then Kevin Holland, he fought the guy who was overweight, which is a shame because you're professional and you shouldn't be that overweight or not take the fucking fight. And Kevin Holland, entertaining fighter, favorite of many, lost by submission.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I don't know. You said you watch highlights, but did you see the opening?
That I did not.
Oh, okay. Well, Kevin Holland held his hand up for, glove touch real quick, but then Chimaev just shot in right away and everyone was calling it a dirty move or whatever. I'm like, are you surprised? And just because it's a dirty move doesn't mean it's illegal, That's
true, but that is very unsportsmanlike. So I do see why people have a problem with that.
I think it's a risk every time. I don't feel bad for anyone that gets caught with it. It just is what it is. I think, a lot of people don't do it, and it is a little disrespectful, but you're in a cage fight. People are going to do what they're going to do, especially.
But it's still just a sport. It's not like they're on the street.
There's no rules about it. No rules.
Okay, I'll give you that. But it's It's a competition. It's not for like, it's not a gladiator fight. No one's going to die after this unless something fucking crazy
Maybe.
happens.
You don't know.
You're right, but the idea is that both fighters after the fight are able to leave the cage, like walk away. That would be the perfect idea.
I know. He just did a little dirty
yeah,
move.
it's just proper respect. And
I don't mind.
I
whatever they want to do, I think it's fine. I'm fine with it.
Now, when both fighters usually do agree to it, that's when they do it. But if he tried and that, okay, well, that makes sense.
I don't think the glove touch is important at all. If two people want to do it,
it's just a sign of respect between the fighters.
Right, but you don't have to have it.
True.
So I think you should be prepared for anything, and it is what it is.
Now, Chimaev has come out and become basically a great supervillain.
I like it.
Because he hasn't been hit. He pulls stuff like that where a guy's reaching out to show a sign of respect, and he's like, I got your respect.
I mean, whatever. He already disrespected everybody by missing weight by that much. What else is like? Is this really going to push him over the edge because he already kind of messed up?
So basically, what we're saying, folks, is he's a third Paul brother.
Maybe, but I'm excited to see what happens next to him. And I don't know if the weight's an issue. Like, is it a problem, or was it just a problem this time, or is he going to go up, or what?
Well, this was a catch weight bout.
It had to be.
And if he was going to fight Nate, that was welter.
Yeah, so he weighed in at 178. So it's kind of, you can either go back down or go up, but it kind of depends on what you walk around at, I guess. If you even have enough weight to go up and be powerful still against those guys, which a lot of guys are coming down pretty far from like 200 pounds. So I don't know. I think he should stay at 170, but I don't know how big of an issue the weight. I'm just so confused at how everything was fine until it wasn't. You know,
one of the things I think is unfair to the fighters is you have fighters that had full training camps preparing for one guy. So say the guy X has a specific style. You're training for that specific style. The day before, they're like, oh, X is going to fight Z and you're going to fight Y.
You have to do what you have to do for pay-per-view, though.
I understand.
What are you going to do? Cancel the pay-per-view? No.
And a paycheck. No, you're not going to cancel the pay-per-view, but a shake.
You're going to shuffle it around. But fighters can decline. They agreed.
I want to know if Chimaev had a portion of his purse reduced because of not making weight.
I don't know.
They switched it to a catch weight.
I have no idea. No one said anything as far as payment. You know, I don't know. I think you should be, if something like this happens, I definitely think you should be disqualified from a belt or from any kind of performance payouts, you know, by the night type of thing.
Bonus.
Yeah, I think maybe that should disqualify you. I don't know. And maybe they would bump your pay down. I don't know. It would make sense if they did. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what this whole weight thing is an issue right now. I feel like I've seen it a lot.
Yeah, especially because also we talked about it during the interview very briefly, just making a comment about it. Weigh-ins for the UFC fight night that's going on tomorrow night. Aspen Ladd didn't make weight. And again, yes.
I believe it was her very last one that she didn't make weight either.
Yes, that is correct. And so she will not be competing on tomorrow night's UFC fight night card. But hold on, let's backtrack to UFC 279. Were there any other fights that you feel like stood out?
Stood out, I don't know. Very entertaining. Li Jingliang and Daniel Rodriguez was a good fight. Controversy there apparently. So when I was watching the fight, it was a good fight. Both guys did really good. Li did really good, and so did Daniel Rodriguez. Held his own. He's very powerful. So when it went to split decision, I was like, okay, yeah, for sure. I was fine with that. I'm not surprised. I think it could have gone either way. I think Dana White made the comment or said that Lee got robbed, and I don't know if he's referring to the actual fight or is he referring to how the fight card ended up because everything got shuffled around at the last minute.
Yeah.
Although I feel like Lee's a veteran, and he is. Daniel Rodriguez, I wouldn't consider him a vet yet for UFC, so I feel like Lee could have handled it, and he almost did. I think if it went his way, I wouldn't be surprised either. So I don't know what the whole thing is about him getting robbed. A lot of people are saying that. I just know when I watched it, and I paid attention to it too. I would love to rewatch it. It's just it was a pay-per-view. As you know, I went to Press Box and watched it over there. It's actually cheaper to go there and watch it than to order it at home. So
Is it really?
you know.
I bet it
Yeah,
was super
well,
packed too.
I mean, $20. No, it was empty because of the Fresno State game. It was empty.
Folks, I found my
Great.
chance to watch pay-per-views, not illegally.
Right. So, you know, it was like $20 per person, and I'll gladly pay $20 to watch UFC and then get some drinks and food. That, you know, it's going to end up being probably a little bit more, but get food and drinks and be at a bar. I'm going to do that rather than sit at home and pay almost $100 for fucking UFC. But anyway, this fight, I don't know why everyone's a little turned upside down about it. I thought it was fine. I thought it was a good fight. And either way, I would have been fine with the results. So Daniel Rodriguez, I've seen him fight before, and he's actually very good. I wish he would fight more. I haven't seen him in a long time besides this fight, but I think he's well on his way up to fighting more competitive fights now. So I'm excited to see where he goes. I don't know about Lee. He did a good job though himself. So I don't know. The fact that it was catchweight, I don't know what that does to your record as far as like, obviously, I don't think you're going to move up in rankings because you didn't fight anyone in your weight class.
If it's a catchweight, you're not in a specific weight class.
No,
So
and I feel like it doesn't.
It shouldn't affect the ranking.
Yeah, I feel like it almost doesn't count to anything as far as your credibility goes with UFC, but you are going to get
like
paid.
The top 10 overall or top 20 overall, I could see that affecting it. But a weight division itself, no.
Yeah. And then you know, you get paid. So there's that. You train so hard. You went through a fight camp. You know, so you don't really want to just say no and walk away when you're ready to go. You can get paid. So it's unfortunate that situations like that happen. But I thought the fight was good. Other people have a different opinion, but
very true.
I wish I could watch it again. That's my issue. If I watch it again, maybe I'm completely wrong. I just have to watch it more than once to really understand.
Do you think they should run it back?
No, hell no. No, you don't run back a catchweight. Hell no.
Just an idea. I mean, a close fight like that.
I think it was close, but apparently nobody else does. But I mean, catchweight, no, forget it. Move on.
Okay. Any other final thoughts from UFC 279?
No, I'm just disappointed in all the catchweights. But, yeah.
I'm just disappointed that they did such a shuffling in the card the day before. I mean, it ended up being better, especially for the Nate Diaz fight, but it was such a shuffling, and you have these guys that are prepared for a specific fighter that you shuffled it so much that it's like you blew part of their training out the window.
Either that or don't fight. That's kind of your options, right?
Very true.
So
don't get it wrong. These guys are tough guys. They're gonna fight. They like to fight. That's why they're there. That's why they do what they do.
It's also a part of the risk.
I think it's kind of bullshit. You have the bait and switch. It's ridiculous.
Hey, anything could happen. They already know that though. You know, shit happens. Pay-per-views, they're kind of under pressure to keep it on, you know. I don't know. It's fighting. Anything could happen. You could like break your ankle walking out to the damn cage too. You never know. Stupid shit happens.
That would be interesting to see.
At least the fight card held up, and it was a good fight card. Definitely the main event was good. Co-main was good too. I mean, it was a good fight card. So that's the only good thing that came out of it.
Do you know who the fighter that has the most fights in MMA history?
No.
His name is TBA, to be announced.
Mm.
Yeah, just a little bit of knowledge for you. All right.
Wow.
Well, that's it for our 279 talk. And now we're going to move on to the fight night. We already started a little bit talking about Aspen Ladd not making weight and her fight being pulled from the card. But in the main event, we have Corey Sandhagen versus Sonia Dong. Number 4 versus number 10. I think it's interesting how his name is Song Yadong, yet it's on the website, it's Yadong Song. And I know there's a change of name flip, and I'm so confused.
Well, China, I believe, flips their names. I don't know what's the first and last names. I do know it was Song Yadong, but Zhang Wei Li goes back and forth with her two names.
Very true. But we have Sandhagen come off a loss, Yadong coming off of a win, and I'm curious to see how this fight goes.
I'm going to be honest, I'm not that excited for it.
Really? I think
Sandhagen's very good. He's always.
Yeah, I think he's going to come out and try and lay hands.
He should. He's good. If I had to guess, I would pick Corey Sandhagen, though.
All right. I'd probably pick him too. Are there any other fights besides, like, for me, Andre Feely's fight?
Yeah, I like him a lot. I wish
live.
I wish he would fight more. Algio's good too. Haven't seen him fight in a long time. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that one. I would like Andre Feely to win, so
I would too.
But
I feel like this is, from what we've been getting with the UFC Fight Night cards, this is kind of more of a lackluster one.
A little bit, but you never know. They could end up being really good. A lot of times they end up being very good. I feel like we've had a lot of exciting fights lately, and it just happens,
Mm-hmm. But I do feel like this is going to be that lull. Not like permanently, or
towards the end of the year, it dies down a little bit. I feel like, I feel like
the holidays coming up and whatnot.
Holidays, you go through the holidays, there's not going to be any fights. I believe they usually go for a two week period of no fights because of the holidays, and unless they have another huge pay-per-view up their sleeve, which I don't remember if they do. Maybe November might have some good fights in the beginning of November. I don't remember. But yeah, I feel like towards the end of the year, it kind of dies down. You get a lot of free fights, and maybe they're not as enticing to watch as like those pay-per-views. So I don't know. We'll see.
All right. Now we're going to talk about a former UFC fighter who likes going after Dana White for some reason. Brendan Schaub.
No, Jesus. Yeah. So
weird.
Yeah, the whole thing was pretty dumb. And I watched the post-fight press conference. I always watch those after pay-per-views. I specifically like to watch Dana White and what he has to say, because sometimes he makes some kind of hints or announcements towards what's going to happen next. And if something didn't happen that wasn't quite right, he will get asked about it. I'm always curious to see what he says. And, there was this whole thing. So dumb, because there's really no substance to it at all. And it got made a huge deal by Brendan Schaub. So you know how everything, like I was saying earlier, how I'm like, how did all these fights break out, but no one got it on camera, and and I'm not saying it was on purpose. Like that's not at all because that's not plausible. I don't think, especially after listening to Dana White say, do you really think we could pull something like that off? It's like, well, maybe, but probably not. It's not likely. And at the last minute, no. I know Nate Diaz can probably, he gets into some funny business sometimes, so I'm really not surprised. It's fighting. People fight. People get in scuffles all the time, especially with somebody like Chimaev and Nate Diaz. Well, they'll just do it behind stage. Like, they don't need to be in front of people to get in a scuffle.
That's it. They'll just, all right, you want to go? Let's go.
Whenever, wherever. And I think something happened with Kevin Holland, too. It was so crazy. I don't know. I feel like everyone
I heard there was a huge mix-up.
Fight camps, I believe, are so big. The crowds that they have around them, like their support, do not, sometimes you get all these fight camps in one room. They're not going to get along, especially with someone like Nate Diaz that'll just call you out and slap you in front of everyone. Who cares? He doesn't care. And so does his team. It's that kind of mentality.
To represent.
Yeah, they don't need a camera there to get in a fight. Like, they'll do it anyway. But I don't know. But what Brendan Schaub was saying was that it was orchestrated in some way, and like Dana knew, and it was on purpose, and I don't know. It really sounded ridiculous. So someone brought that up at the press conference and asked Dana about it, and Dana thought that Pat Miletich said it.
I know, because unfortunately, Pat Miletich, who I'm a fan of Pat Miletich in his fight career, and a fan of his team, because he had one of the greatest MMA teams at one point. He had all the champs at his camp.
Right. Yeah.
But he, in recent years, is very much conspiracy theory.
Okay. Yeah. So, and that's probably why they assumed that
it was him. I understand. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, but I listened to Brendan Schaub once in a while. So I already kind of knew he already kind of put that out there. It was so dumb, but he had already put that out there. So when the reporter asked Dan about it, I think he assumed Pat Miletich was saying that. That's what the reporter led to, the one that was asking him that question. And after he explained everything, like, oh, you think we could really pull that off, this and whatever. And yeah, what he said made perfect sense. It's like, yeah, I know it sounds completely crazy. And then right at the end, another reporter was like, oh, that was actually Brendan Schaub that said that. And he's like, oh, who? Brendan Schaub? He's like, oh, yeah, makes sense. And he literally dropped the mic and got up and left. He was done. His little time was done with this press conference.
Some people will push the point, and it's like, no, it's dead and done. It's over. Move on. So I get it.
But after that, I think it was, I don't know, the next morning or Monday morning, because I was at work when I read that. Brendan Schaub got the idea that Dana White went on some rant about him specifically. He didn't say anything about Brendan Schaub. He just acknowledged that, oh, it was him that said that. Like, he had no idea. And then literally said 2 words like, oh, that makes sense, and walked away. He didn't go off on Brendan Schaub. He didn't even say his name, blah, blah, blah. And then Brendan Schaub's little message on, it was like Instagram or Facebook or whatever that I saw. He said something along the lines of like, oh, you didn't learn last time when you when you put my name in your mouth that you got destroyed. But like, what? Destroyed? Who are you destroying, dude? You're not destroying anybody. Also, he never said a word about you. Like, I feel like he was really hoping Dana White would say something about him so he can go off on him, which is really dumb. Literally half of his podcasts are about UFC and fights.
Yeah, like,
he literally interviews every UFC fighter that's up and coming and that's doing really well, literally has them on a podcast every so often and promotes them happily because everyone loves UFC, of course. And I don't know, Brendan acts like he's doing some kind of service for UFC and that they should acknowledge him or whatever. And he's acting like he would destroy Dana White in some kind of rant. I don't know. Dana clearly doesn't like him, though. I don't think he ever did. And I don't blame him because his UFC career was all right, I guess. You know, he was kind of a little bitch, but whatever. And he admits that too or whatever. So it's not like, you know. And so he tries to like move on from fighting, but still really wants to be in it, but then also doesn't want to talk about it sometimes, you know. So it's like, okay, pick a side.
Well, I'd rather talk to him about MMA than his comedy.
Yeah.
That is really awful.
Yeah, and you know what? And that whole rant, I'm like, did somebody else write this for him? Like, who's getting emotion? But no, it was Brendan because he still talked about it. I love his podcast or I used to. I actually don't love it anymore. That's a lie. I like Brian Kaelyn. So when he has his Fighter and the Kid,
his moments with me.
Yeah, his Fighter and the Kid podcast, I liked it a lot more a while back. Not so much now. It's a little boring now, but I like Brian Kaelyn and stuff. But man, that entire podcast, the like following Monday or whatever, was all about this rant. And like he was going off on and Brian, it was so funny because sorry, we're talking about the stupid podcast on our podcast, but whatever. To my point, Brian Kaelyn was even trying to like, he's like, you sure about that? Like he was trying to get to like, are you sure he was talking about you or are you overreacting type of thing? And sorry, my computer's gonna die. But even he was like trying to get at, like, hey man, calm down. I think you're overreacting. And I didn't listen to any more after that because I was irritated.
I understand that. I used to listen to The Fighter and the Kid a lot, and
it used to be really great.
Brendan Schaub just, I feel like he did go the route of Pat Miletich with
he got so dull.
The whole conspiracy theory, and then, you know, a lot of stuff has come out about him, and from what I've heard, he's so happy. So
I heard that too, and I think I sent you the article or the post because I'm like, dude, the comments are so funny because everyone was going off on him saying, oh, that's funny coming from you.
Yeah, right.
Someone that deletes any bad comment on their Instagram or Twitter or whatever, and literally has a team going through his social media so that he doesn't see anything negative because he's too emotional and can't handle it. He even admits that, whatever. But it's like, coming from you, it's like, well, that's rich, you know? I don't know. That whole thing bugged me, and it made me not like Brendan Schaub at all anymore.
Well, I mean, I heard some things that he was a creep. I don't know.
I've heard a lot of different things. I heard but for someone that likes to stay out of drama, or supposedly likes to stay out of drama, he certainly has a lot of it. He
causes a lot of it. Yeah,
he does, and he makes an ass out of himself most of the time. I've realized. He's not funny anymore. I'm kind of sad because I thought he was a little funny on his podcast, and he's not anymore. It's just kind of
that's a different type of funny. That's a wit funny. His stand-ups are trash.
He has wit sometimes, and I thought that was funny. But now he's just a little emotional wreck all the time, and it's not entertaining.
When me and my buddy were in LA, we were like, "Oh, we should look out and see if we see Brendan Schaub."
Oh,
and I was like, "Why? What's the point?"
Yeah, and like his comedy, cringe.
Yeah.
Well, whatever.
Let's go ahead and move on to some MMA.
Let's go. Can we talk about something more important?
Exactly. Let's see. Pop it up. Marlon Moraes returns from retirement to enter 2023 PFL season.
That's interesting.
Well, retirement, didn't last long. His last outing was in March.
They usually don't, and they usually go somewhere else that will get paid a bit more. So I hope he gets paid a lot more.
I feel like a lot of guys go to PFL because they think that they could win the tournament, and that's a very real thought.
Hey, that surprised me. That is,
and then no, it's not because you're fighting Kayla Harrison.
Right. But also, that's a great, would you rather be fighting for $1 million and hope that you get there one day, or fight for UFC knowing you're not going to get there?
No. I think that's a great idea, and I look forward to seeing who they match him up against.
He's still good. He's so good. He's not bad anymore. He's still a really tough guy. So I hope it works out for him.
That's actually funny that you say that he's still good, because it actually ties into our next topic. Mike Perry wants big name fights, wants big matchups, suggests he fights Nate Diaz. Now, we had a little bit of a discussion about this during the week when everything was announced. I understand Mike Perry wants big name fights. You should not be fighting against Nate Diaz, sir. Nate Diaz has still shown that he can compete at the top level of MMA. If Nate Diaz chooses to do that, he should. I enjoy bare knuckle fighting, but I do feel like bare knuckle fighting has a certain stigma where you don't have guys that go to bare knuckle fighting. Mm-hmm. You have guys that go to bare knuckle fighting because it is the end.
It's the last ditch effort for some money fighting.
I haven't seen anybody yet. I mean, given it's still pretty young in its what word could I use for that? It's still young in its overall.
Well, promotion. It's young enough to where they don't have a champion that reigns over everybody, That's true. Very true.
And yet you have Mike Perry, looks like he's coming out to be more of the figurehead and spokesperson for the promotion. I mean, he did beat Michael Venom Page.
Worth.
True. Good point. But he did beat Michael Venom Page.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can understand why he's calling him out, because look at how the Paul brothers do it. They call out dudes all the time, and they get these fights. They get these crazy fights, freak show fights, as I like to call them.
I think Mike Perry deserves a fight that he wants, especially after beating.
I agree, but yet you calling out Nate Diaz, If Nate wants to do it, go do it. That's all him. But he is still such a quality fighter. He hasn't had any missteps because he hasn't been fighting as often, that he could still compete at a top level.
He can, but I don't know. I don't even know where I read this, but I don't think he even really wants to fight anymore. I think he said
no, that's why, if it's up to him, because if he wants to, go do it.
I think he wants to have his own promotion is what he was getting at. He wants to be Dana White type of thing somewhere else. And that's what he would, I listened to one of his interviews. I forgot who was interviewing him, but it was like a UFC guy. I forgot the main interviewer. Man, what's his name? Brian or Brandon or something? Brett Okamoto. Is that his name? Yeah. So that was a good interview. And that's what he was getting at during that interview. And man, I don't know how that's going to go. I feel like as long as UFC is around, that's going to be kind of tough, but he wants to do it. He should. I don't know how it's going to go, but he should be able to do it.
Well, you never know, but he's willing to take that risk, so why not?
Right. And I feel like he's bored of fighting is what I got from that. He's saying, I did all this and now I'm ready to be good at something else. Like time to move on and do something else for your career and make some, like, I feel like he's made the money he wanted so far and wants to expand on a business type of level, and try doing that. And I think he should.
I agree. He should. I mean, if he wants to go bake cookies, do it. Just go do it. Go have fun doing it. But in the way of Mike Perry, I understand that Mike Perry is trying to drum up promotional stuff for bare knuckle. Great.
Yeah.
But I feel like Nate Diaz is not the one to do it. Honestly, thinking about it, I don't know why this came to me. I don't know if this is going to happen. If I saw it somewhere, Donald Cerrone. If he's down to do it, let's throw him in the mix. He likes striking. His jiu-jitsu was cool, but he's known for being a striker. If he wants to get in there and throw hands, let him.
He'll get tore apart, though, for sure.
Pretty sure you're right about that.
Yeah.
Now, okay, are there any fighters that you think that could go in there and have a good showing against someone like Mike Perry?
That's a good question. I don't know. Off the top of my head, I don't know. I'm sure the one that would be great is probably currently in UFC. So I don't know. Mike Perry. I don't know. But his next fight, it should be against someone good. He deserves it. And I don't know who would be entertaining in bare knuckle or who would be willing to do that. I don't know. But he's got to try, right? You got to try and call someone out.
Very true. No, that's it. I mean, squeaky wheel gets the grease.
You got to try. So he's trying, whatever.
Yep, very much so. Yeah. All right. And this will be the last story for us today. It is unfortunately a sad one. A former Ultimate Fighter champion has passed away.
Crazy.
Elias Theodoro has passed away from a battle with colon cancer. He was only 34. Yeah, I was like really shocked for somebody who's I mean, I'm older than him, but
so young
to that age. It shocked the shit out of me.
Yeah, he's super for something like that. You know,
because you never really hear about. I mean, cancer sucks.
Yeah,
and you only hear about it really with kids and older adults. You don't really hear about it with people in the middle,
or people that are athletic and in shape.
Yes,
that are healthy.
And that's why this was, to me, I was like, whoa.
Yeah. I wonder if it was hereditary, because I feel like that's really the only situation of where that would happen. That's so young. And then they said that they kept it, obviously they kept it from everybody and only a few people knew about it. Which makes sense that I'm like, when I saw his face, I'm like, what happened to that guy? It's been forever. And I remember him because he's a really good looking guy. And everyone would always make comments like, oh, look at his hair. He's so nice looking. And like, I was like, yeah, he actually does, whatever. And he was good. He was a very good fighter too, obviously.
Yeah, he was
and
8-3
then he
when
just
he was let
disappeared.
go.
Totally forgot about him. But now that I saw a picture of his face in an article, I'm like, oh, I remember that guy. And yeah, so that's sad. It's sad that it is sad, but it's good that he was good. He won the Ultimate Fighter. He was actually very good at fighting, and that sucks that happened.
Yeah. He was a proponent for medical cannabis use for fighters, which I know a lot of fighters, or I know quite a few people that use it medicinally, and
I know a lot of people that use it.
I know a lot of people that use it, but medicinally, that's fine, and I'm glad, because I think it's
I'm
better
sure
than
that
some of these
helped him.
painkillers that are out there.
I'm sure that helped him in his stages of cancer.
Very true. And he was also he was the ring boy for Invicta, which I think is awesome.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, that's funny. Reading that, I'm
makes sense. And it also makes sense.
Dude.
See, I knew it.
And then he was a part of the Amazing Race Canada Season 3 in 2015. So
that's interesting.
Sorry to hear that.
Oh.
I'm sorry to end the show on such a somber note.
Yeah, what the hell, man?
I know. I should have started up front with it. Just been like, let's get the sad shit out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's going to do it for us. Don't forget, folks, check out the UFC tomorrow. It's on ESPN Plus, I believe. And it's the fight night. It's going to take place at the UFC Apex Center. So, if you happen to be in Vegas, you probably can't go. And then the following week on what time is that? It's going to pop up on the ticker on the bottom. 559 Fights in Visalia, September 24th. That's what it was, at Valley Strong Ballpark. I don't think they're going to be at the ballpark for the show after, because it would be more in winter. So it may be at Visalia Convention Center, but go check it out. They put on a hell of a show. It's a great venue because it's a ballpark. It should be a nice night. Go check it out. Some great fights. And that's going to do it for us here at the MMA Mainstream Podcast. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you guys next time.